All right. Welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, joined on another, what is this, the fourth in a row, a special Zoom based podcast, joined, of course, by Randy Angston. What's up, buddy?
Hello, hello. How are you?
Shalom. And
Shalom. Good.
special guest today, guys, Hank Ebeling out of H4 Training in Western Illinois. What's he laughing at, man? I say your name wrong. Anyways, he's got two locations, been a gym owner since 2010. I've actually known Hank for quite some time. And he was actually in the STS. You guys heard us talking about the STS. A great group of gym owners, still in touch with a lot of them today. I'm excited to bring Hank onto the show. Hank, welcome, man.
Damn, Randy, thanks for having me. And yes, Tim and I were laughing because it is Ebeling, and we had just talked about it. But Tim, love you no matter what, so don't worry.
Sorry, brother. Anyways, I call him Hank the Tank. Anyways, so Hank comes onto the show. We've been chatting quite some time about something special he's been doing. It's pretty unique in the fact that I've not. I'm impressed to say that I have not seen anybody take this route in the industry when it comes to coaching. I've seen people pick up sales, training all the time, marketing all the time, even programming's been picked up as far as a gym owner taking that and coaching other gym owners to do that. Hank's bringing up kind of a new perspective, picked up customer service as his, lane or flag in the ground. Hank, why don't you give us a little background on what got you interested in that, and give us some background on your gyms too.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, I went to college in Vegas, and my first job in college was at the famous Canyon Ranch Spa and Fitness Center in the Venetian Hotel. And one of my very first bosses was this British woman who was like insane when it came to where were your hands positioned, the way you greet people. And one of my very first experiences in fitness was with this woman essentially as my boss. And from that get-go, it was kind of like, okay, these little things are important. This is a very nice hotel. This is a very nice clientele. This matters. So why won't it matter, moving forward? So that was kind of the first initial person to kind of, bring me on to the importance of it. And then as I kind of continued my career post-graduation working for Equinox, I'm sure a lot of the listeners know Equinox, again, another higher end brand. How do you stand out in a trainer when there's 30 plus trainers, when there's hundreds, thousands of members? Everybody's smart. Everyone has good programs. The simplest way is to just have better service, give them a better experience. Everyone else, in our industry is focused on giving them a better squat. Hey, I can write way cooler programs. And when I was thinking about, well, how can I give you a better experience? The rest of the trainers could give what about you when you leave. I'm going to do the opposite. So to me, it was an easy competitive advantage. Going back to the Equinox days, I got myself up to top 15 in the country for Equinox out of, I think it was 1,500 trainers, just by simply doing that focus. I mean, of course, the training was there, but it was a service first focus. And then in 2013, opened my first gym, H4 Training, and then later opened second gym in 2017, again, with the focus of people first. And, that people first mentality continues with our business today.
Nice, brother. Yeah. So good story there. Yeah. I would imagine being in Vegas, the hospitality industry, it's all about customer service there. In fact, the first thing that comes to mind is a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons. In fact, I've even heard chatter that they have like training programs for their businesses, super expensive, but like you could go and train with the Ritz-Carlton on it might not be specific to gyms, but they do have they've got something figured out over there with the Ritz-Carlton. You've adopted some of those kind of principles. I read your book. Thank you for sending me that, guys. He's got a book, and we'll plug that. Maybe put a link in the show notes, Randy. Like after,
Yep.
maybe if somebody wants to pick up the book. But I read your book. We've adopted some of those principles. Why don't you kind of like share a little bit about what's inside that book, and how do gym owners kind of leverage some of that stuff?
Yeah, so the book's called Crushing the Competition with Service. Customer service isn't thought of as a competitive advantage, but in fact, it is our biggest competitive advantage. When we look at what we can do, people can steal your workouts, they can steal your equipment, but they can't steal how you take care of your people. And sometimes that sounds cheesy, soft, but you have to think of it as an intelligent business strategy because that's what it is. And the book just kind of lays out what I created, which I call the LTS method, which focuses on leadership, team, systems, and strategies, which are essentially the three biggest components of delivering world-class service. If you look at Ritz-Carlton, Nordstrom, Zappos, some of these amazing brands, while they're way bigger than your gym, my gym, most people listening, you can adopt those same principles that they use, but at a much smaller scale, which in fact makes it that much easier within our walls. And so the book talks a lot about that methodology. And you brought up Ritz-Carlton. One of the easiest things anyone listening can do is what they do, which is called surprise and delight. You might have heard of it.
Mhm.
They empower their employees to spend up to $2,500 in surprising and delighting a customer. Now, we definitely don't give our employees a $2,500 allowance, and I'm sure most of you won't because we're just not at that scale of a Ritz-Carlton. But that just shows you what they're willing to empower their team members to make sure people are getting the utmost experience and service. And really, what that just comes down to is you have to have a number. So you have a number. For us, it's $250 a month, and it has to be talked about at your team meetings with your managers. It's always being brought up, looking for situations, and then every month you have to spend that money. It's not a
Are you
well.
saying each coach has to spend that 250 each? Is what you're saying?
So for us, it's just a gym total.
Okay.
Ritz-Carlton, because they have such a large hotel and amount of employees and people staying, they have to kind of spread that out, right? Versus just a hotel. But because we're a smaller scale and most people listening, pick a number. Usually it's best between, I'd say, $100 and $500, just depending on the money you're pulling in, amount of clients you have, and then make sure everyone on your team is on board. What I mean by that is your manager knows about it. You're talking about it in team meetings. We start every team meeting with $250 budget. What do we got? Tim's got an anniversary coming up. Hey, we just found out this. We found out that. So-and-so's been wearing the same shoes for 5 years. We're not going to even bring it up. We know what they like. Shoes are going in the mail tomorrow to their house. And again, it has to be spent. It's not a, Randy, this month, let's go buy some new dumbbells with that money.
Yeah.
It's got to get spent.
Yeah.
So that's a real easy thing that you can do to mimic the Ritz-Carlton, and it has a big effect on your business.
What I love about it, my mother was in the customer service industry for years. She worked with, top Fortune 500 companies, keeping them happy, a lot of business to business stuff too. And what I love about what you bring to the table, and for our listeners, we don't have the luxury of having completely different roles for each people in our business. And if you don't teach customer service, if you don't have a plan or a program for it, sales, marketing, all of these things, like that's natural to communicate on. And so when you've got that great trainer and, they start to pick up some skills in the sales arena, if they don't have customer service, the ability to, speak the language of customer service, it becomes single track and single focus, and your whole business starts to feel, like that. And so I like how it becomes an emphasis and kind of ingrained in every bit of the business, because we don't have that luxury like, major corporation where you talk to customer service, it's one person. You pick up sales, it's a different person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think,
go ahead, Tim.
oh, I'm sorry. I think one of the biggest breakdowns in the fitness industry is the sales happen with one type of person.
Yep.
And the deliveries happening with the coaches, right? So like the fitness directors doing the sales, or the owners doing the sales, and then the coaches are delivering that service. And that, that lack of communication sometimes happens. I've dropped the ball. I have a story that, I mean, you would cringe if you heard the story of how bad we dropped the ball one time on a client. It was completely our fault. There was nothing we could do after doing something like dropping the ball like that. But I do like your I do like your budget and this surprise and delight. We were doing it wrong. We were doing seek and destroy. See, that was a different methodology. You're trying to surprise people. But you know what? Give me a couple examples, some of the coolest things that really lit up your clients and out of that budget.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't say they're even like so like, oh my goodness, that's such an oddity, but just the simple things. I always tell the story of this isn't even monetary, and that's the thing. It doesn't have to be monetary. We had a client who was a 6 a.m. regular, been with us 6+ years. It was a typical Chicago minus 1,000-degree day in the winter, and she literally could not get out of her garage because her husband was gone. She couldn't physically lift it up or get it to open. She emails one of these that we all have that she misses her workout and her world's like over, right? So she messages, I'm pissed. I can't make my workout. We have her address, right? I think a lot of us have people's addresses, info. Seconds, we send one of our trainers to go pick her up and bring her in. Now, again, zero monetary. Now, I'm not saying you always go pick people up like rent a car, but that was one of those things where she came in, I'd say for probably a good 2 or 3 weeks, she would walk in and everyone would say, oh, Julie, she gets the Uber ride. Oh, Julie, it really made her feel special. And it was just one of those things that we didn't have to do. She didn't expect, and it had zero monetary expense. So it was like a bonus surprise and delight. A couple other things that kind of
Well,
stand out.
going back to that one, it sounds like it was snow that snowed. I thought maybe you were going to bring the gym over, and that was the workout, was clearing the driveway out. No, something that was you could have.
No, that would have been even better though, right? Show up
Yeah,
with a bunch of bands
yeah.
and dumbbells.
Mhm.
But another one again, we're talking about a small thing here. Starbucks. We have a client who, again, one of these people who they don't get their coffee, like
Ugh.
it's like World War III, right, in their life. And she came in, not herself, just totally out of it. Kids were going crazy. She told us she had this big presentation. I didn't get my coffee. My day's just a mess. She gets going with the session. We have that relationship. We know her. She gets done with the session. One of our coaches has that Starbucks, which we know her order just from relationship building, sitting there with her name, little smiley face, of course, right? Got a little extra in there. And that little gesture cost us what, $3? Maybe it was Starbucks, so it probably cost five. But that led to about 2 hours later, her going on Facebook and blasting like, "Hey, does your gym do this for you? I can't believe such a simple gesture." Again, nothing outrageous, but these are just little things that make such a huge difference for you and lead to free advertising, really.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, obviously, it's building a relationship, and you're working on, that increases retention and the desire for them to be there themselves. But the second they turn around and start spreading the word on things like that, because everybody else has the typical things, right? That's a perfect way of saying it, right? Does your gym do this for you? Nobody else is going to be able to say yes, and that is that competitive advantage that you were talking about.
Yeah, and
That's
to give you
huge.
guys even more of a recent example, again, another non-monetary example, it was pouring rain. This was about a week ago, and we keep a huge umbrella, a couple of them at our door. And our coaches know if it's pouring, we don't even think about it. We're walking people out to their cars. And again, woman posted on Facebook, does your gym walk you out to your car in pouring rain? It's got a picture of one of our coaches with her. Same type of effect, right? That's free marketing. That's the best ad we could have ever made. So just little things like that maybe can give you some inspiration, but just know it can be monetary and non-monetary.
Man, you take the weather out of the equation, you have nothing to do out there. I mean, you got the snowed in, you got the. I'm just kidding.
You know, what we do in the Midwest is we eat. Then if it's
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's called
yeah.
job retention.
yeah,
You know what? It's this is great. I know a lot of gym owners are spinning their wheels like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. And I think it comes, well, first off, it has come top down, gym owner to the
Yeah.
team, but it's intentional, right? You're not just once in a while thinking about it. It's all the time. So you're constantly seeking and delighting, right? Surprising delight. You're seeking out opportunities, right? And so, um, how do you wrap the team around this? I think it should be pretty simple and easy, right? The team's like, yeah, of course they want to do nice things. And I think even the younger millennial generation, this might be just built into their DNA anyway, right? Helping the world, save the planet, like all this stuff. Um, what if you get somebody that's like not into it, man? Like you just kick them off the team, or what do you do?
I mean, a big part of it is it's culture, right? It's creating that culture. It's important. And we go through this. I know we're going to talk about it with my course, that you have to have a service vision to start. And this is not a mission statement. This isn't a vision statement. It's a service vision statement. The best companies in the world regarding service have one of these, and it's like your beacon of light. That, along with the service standards that you have, that is how you hire, that's how you fire, that's how you keep everybody accountable. And that's just how it is. You come on board. I'm amazed at how many of our new coaches come on board and they're expecting me to coach them on a lunge and how to run a session. And we spend this huge amount of time just literally talking about service and examples of service, their role in it and what it looks like. And they're kind of like, all right, when are we going to go over a lunge? And it's like, well, this is more important than any of that, because that doesn't matter at the end of the day. So it's setting the right culture and then making it something that's top of mind and then holding them accountable. Really, I mean, you guys are sports guys. I'm a sports guy. It's like the best coaches, right? They build that culture. There's that kind of mission, vision. You find people that fit that culture, and then you just keep them accountable to that culture and those standards. And when you do that, you have the Ritz Carlton, you have the Zappos, you have the Pulse Fitness, you have H4 Training. And when you don't, you have some good days. And, if Randy's working, it's great service. And if Jim's working, it's okay. And if Melissa's working, it's really bad. And then you have the owner who complains that when they're not there, that things aren't at that elite level. It's just because you haven't built that culture and you don't have those systems in place. Kind of much like anything, really.
I
Yeah,
was
for
going to
sure.
add, like, go ahead, Randy. I got a second question when you're done.
Well, go for that, and then we'll just circle
Oh,
back.
one of the things about culture is there's some people say that you can't even create it. It happens organically through the actions of the team. You can't force a culture sometimes. I think I'd argue that. I think you can. But it has to come from the top. Like it has to come from the person or people that are in running that gym. This is our standard. This is the way we do it. Buy in, training, all that stuff. What would you say to a gym owner listening? Like, oh man, my culture's busted right now. We're losing people. My team doesn't because we work with a lot of gyms that have a bad team. It was bad hire after bad hire. They needed somebody. They hired somebody for because they needed somebody, but now they're stuck with this kind of like reverse of good, like bad culture now. So what's the steps for you? Like if you were working with a gym to kind of 180 that thing.
Well, a couple of things. One, I mean, you have to be swift with something like this, right? If you let those kind of, I'll say, poisonous individuals, it's only going to permeate amongst the other team. And then it becomes, well, Randy's not doing it. So why am I doing it? So you really honestly have to cut bait with those people that aren't going to be in line with you. Worked with a business a month ago, and they had two individuals like this. And it came down to we were trying to change the culture to be service first. And it was, this is kind of the direction the business is going. This is why this would be your role. Do you feel like you align with this? If not, that's totally fine. But then you're going to have to move on, unfortunately. Like we're going 100 miles an hour in this direction. You're either on or you're off. And if you're off, that's cool. But I need you to get off, right? And the other thing would be, as the leader, just do a self audit. Some of us are in our business on the front lines and some of us aren't. Dive in, talk to your team members. Hey, where are we lacking? Who's maybe not aligning with us from the rest of the team? Who's kind of the bad apples? Talk to your customers, read reviews, and kind of do your own self audit of, okay, these are the problem areas or problem people that keep coming up, and let's go from there. Worked with a brand called Epic Burger. They're a burger chain, and start off just going right to the managers. telling me everything about each person on your team and who's not aligning with the service you're trying to deliver. And it was always the same names coming up that were infecting the rest of the group. And so kind of attack that right away. So I think it's self-audit, and I think it's identifying maybe who's not going to be on board as you're kind of transitioning the business.
Right on.
Yeah, there's just a couple of things I wanted to add to that. The first one is like, to that point, it's data essentially, right? Now that gives you somewhere to go and attack, make the most gain with the least amount of effort first, and then be able to go, fine tune and tweak from there. But the it's almost like an ethos. I see customer service has to be like part of like, you either have it or you don't. You can learn it. You could build an interest in it, but like it's going to be in you or it's not to some degree. And I think that's the hard part is a lot of gym owners find themselves almost handcuffed by their staff because they found them in a time of need. And now they don't know how to kind of break the that those chains. And ultimately they're allowing it to continue in their business. And it's ultimately, there's no way around it. It is poisoning their business. I mean, you know, it's hurting the relationships, it's hurting the business monetarily. And that's the opposite of why we're here. And so, these are some of those things that I go back to, like the hard decision to make as a business owner to let somebody go is those are the decisions you have to make. If you're truly intent on your purpose being to help as many people through, this vehicle as we can, that person's holding you back and standing in the way from you executing your vision. That's an easy decision to make at the end of the day, or should be, you know what I mean? So customer service to me is huge. I think, having a service driven business, everybody can go, across, the spectrum, just food restaurants, things like that. Chick-fil-A right off the top. Like there's a number of these businesses that they're synonymous, much like the Ritz-Carlton and Nordstrom's and some of those, right? They are the pinnacle in the industry for customer service. There's very few in the fitness space that come to mind. You know what I mean? So I think to your point, this is a huge opportunity to massively differentiate the customer experience, the client experience that most gym owners, we just overlook so far.
Yeah, I think we're all gym nerds at Harvard, right? And we focus so much on the programming and the training, which is definitely important. Don't get me wrong, but it's really the experience and the service first, and then the programming, right? No one's going to walk out of the gym and say, gosh, Randy messed up those 10 reps. He taught me the wrong lunge. But man, you know what? The service, right? They're going to think about the service, right? Like I felt amazing after that session. He made me feel like something I haven't felt before. The service I got, like they're going to forget about these little minuscule things. I'm not saying blow people's knees out with squats because you don't know how to teach it, but just put in perspective that stuff matters, but we have to kind of put it aside sometimes and say it comes second.
And it reminds me, I mean, I grew up like when I was younger, I was listening to a lot of those like old sales greats, and when they, like the sales guys, the sales coaches were always talking about how you make somebody feel. And that doesn't happen from a script, doesn't happen from a sales script or, something like the dialogue like that. It's the experience as a whole. And I think that, that is the tip of the hat to the customer service side of even this, a sale. It's relationship building. And I think we have to remember that at the end of the day, that our clients are like family. When somebody spends 10 years in your business, that's somebody in your life that's probably spent more time with you than, most of the people that you can still, look around and see in your life. Show them how much you care. And I love being intentional with at least, setting a budget and forcing some of that, because that is a way of almost instilling that forced change, right? If it's not part of the ethos, all right, we're going to draw that we're going to make that kind of part of the team now. And that's one of the ways to kind of force that to happen.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree.
So Hank, when I read your book, we adopted a couple principles out of there. One of the things we adopted was that FORD, the acronym FORD. I really like that, especially in our industry where a lot of the workout, a lot of the delivery of the training session is this communication back and forth, getting to know somebody, building that relationship. That thing's perfect. Again, we adopted it. It's at the bottom. We actually built it into our software. So it's at the bottom of our software. We have a look for the coaches. They can see the FORD, which is, go ahead, family, occupation, recreation,
and D is dreams. You could think
dreams.
of it as goals, right?
Dreams and goals. So family might, so this is like a little cheat sheet on each one of your clients, right? So if you've got a coach training for somebody for the first time, and that Ford is filled out, you got, hey, I know this guy's got 2 daughters. He's a dentist or whatever, occupation, recreation. This guy's a big golfer, also likes to ski and hike, and dreams and desires. Maybe he wants to retire by the time he's 55 or something, like whatever that is, or he wants to travel to Hawaii, or he wants to play Pebble Beach, or whatever those things are. And you get those talking points, man. That's the ammo you need as a trainer to just open. I mean, it's really just breaking the ice, more or less, right? With that new client. How'd you come up with that? Or did you borrow that from somebody?
Yeah, that's there's a guy named John DeJulius. He's really well known in customer service. And I remember chatting with him, and we were talking about relationship building, and he said, here's an easy acronym you can use with your team. And ever since then, it was probably about 8-9 years ago, started using it in development with our team. And it's something that we coach all new hires on. We teach them what it means and how to do just that, how to build that forward off of each individual. Because yeah, if I'm training Tim for the first time and right away I know I'm going to engage him on maybe football talk because I know he played and he's into football, that just changes the experience right away because I know what he likes, what he doesn't like, what I can engage with. So it just makes an easy way for your team to get to know people better.
Yeah, it's building that rapport after you built the rapport at the front end, right? So it's great, man. Kudos to you, brother. I mean, I told you that from day one. I didn't see anybody doing this in the space and really diving deep on this. You put together a course. Take me through that a little bit. I got a chance to kind of see behind the curtain a couple months back. You've kind of updated. You put some people through a beta group through that now. What's that course all about?
Yeah, we had a lot of your listeners probably know Steve and Kate Lavick, my fellow Illinoisans. They went through it. It's essentially creating that people first culture within your business. So it takes you from the leadership to the team to the systems and strategies. It takes you incrementally throughout it. So by the end of the course, you should have your own Ritz-Carlton like level of service culture within your own gym. And the big thing about it to me is we're all small business owners. I'm a small business owner. I was talking to Tim, you about this. I don't have time. I know you don't have time to sit and watch 2-hour long videos. I don't care how great the content is. I just don't have time. So I think 90% of the videos are under 10 minutes. But the content is there. It's short, but it's to the point, and it gives you something actionable to take, and you can kind of take it and run with it. And we've had people go through it who are first-time business owners, 20-year veterans, and everywhere in between. So you can kind of get your spot, if you will. Okay, my business is here. Maybe I just need to take that next step, right, to become that world class. Or maybe I'm just new and fresh in the game and I really don't know what to do. I know the dumbbells and the sets and the reps, but how do I design this culture? So then you can get a lot out of it as well.
Great, man. Great. And what's the best way for somebody to kind of check out that course or talk to you? Do you have a link?
So we're gonna leave just a link here in the show notes. I'm guessing you guys will throw that in there.
I can
You
jump
can
in there.
jump on a call with me, kind of chat about your business if it's something that makes sense. And if it does, kind of point in the right direction. You can hit me up on social media. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Hank Ebeling. We can chat that way as well, kind of see what the best option is for you.
And make mention where you heard this on the Built to Grow podcast. I know you got a little special deal for everybody. It's already affordable, guys. This is a kind of a no-brainer to just go ahead and grab this course, watch it, top down it. Bring your team through that. And things will change. I mean, honestly, just having the little nuggets from your book and bringing that over right away when you sent that over, I read that. I mean, it's an easy read, obviously, and you kind of went with the theme of like the comics and stuff, so pretty cool there. And
Yeah, the The
What's
course
that?
is called Superhero Service Super Profit. So it's kind of all about delivering that superhero level service. So yeah,
Themed out,
totally.
man. Look at that. It's all themed out. Yeah, I grabbed a couple of those nuggets. It's helped us right away, just kind of build a little bit better, tighter bonds with our clients. And yeah, it's been great, man. Got any final words of advice for that gym owner out there trying to make it in the grind?
Yeah, I would just tell you, hey, it starts and ends with you. If you're the leader that's saying, well, this person, whenever they're working, this they don't deliver the service, or when I'm not there, it's not the same. It's because you really haven't built the culture, and it starts and ends with you. I know we've touched on that, and hey, at the end of the day, it sounds again soft, cheesy, but you got to outcare the competition, and if you can get your team to do that, it's always an intelligent business strategy.
Right on, brother. Well, thanks for joining us today and sharing that out. Well, you guys, we'll drop the links in the show notes. Go grab that course, talk to Hank, book a call with him. Pleasure having you on, man. Thanks for joining us. Hank Ebeling. Sorry, Hank Ebeling.
That's all right, Tim. Randy, thanks, guys.
All
Appreciate
right,
it,
guys.
brother. Take care.
That's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next show. Bye.
All right, and thank you for listening to that episode of the Built to Grow podcast, where we help gym owners win. Now, do you want to connect with me and other gym owners online? All you need to do is join our private Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. Just head on over to Facebook and type in Business Talk with Fitness Professionals, and when you do, we're going to give you our 10 marketing strategies 7-figure gym owners use to win. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, keep building something great.